Tonight on 7 News at 10, we're following breaking news right now out of Spartanburg County. Several law enforcement agencies are responding along with the coroner tonight.
Plus, a search continues tonight for an inmate who escaped from an upstate detention center. Now over to Chris for your forecast first.
Live Doppler radar at 10 o'clock tonight is dry for most of us, but there are a couple of showers in the mountains, even some heavier rain there on the Tennessee-North Carolina border that should fall apart overnight. We'll be talking about mainly dry conditions through the overnight hours. We'll wake up to temperatures in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Another hot day out there tomorrow, and look out for an afternoon storm. Then wetter weather and cooler weather comes in toward the end of the week. I'll have that forecast in just a bit. 7 News at 10 starts right now.
Covering local news first for Carolina's family. This is 7 News at 10.
And we thank you for joining us for 7 News at 10. We're beginning with breaking news out of Spartanburg County. The coroner has been called to a home on Anderson Drive.
Right now, the details are pretty limited, but there is an extremely active, heavy law enforcement presence, including the SWAT team. Our Nicole Smith is live at that scene, and she's joining us with the very latest, where the sheriff, Chuck Wright, is also on the scene giving an update tonight.
Can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the individuals found inside?
We just trying to find all that out, so I don't know. I do know they knew one another, and I'm not sure if the children was theirs. I'm not sure about that, but you know, none of that matters right now. We're just trying to make sure that we all do everything correct, obviously, and we're just trying to love on these babies, man. This is, you know, you got 3 children now that are going to have to depend on some extended family for sure. You know, I wanted to take them home myself, and so did everybody else, but we had to take them to a different spot. But these professionals are going to take care of them. But I want you to start praying for them right this minute.
Sure. So you were saying just now that 2 people were found deceased here?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're saying 2 people were found dead here?
Yes, ma'am. We have 2. And again, I'm not going to go into the manner of how and why and all that stuff. So we're trying to figure that out. But again, I don't really want to focus on these babies. It's tough.
This has been a very active scene. Can you tell me who was all involved in this investigation?
Well, our department responded first. The sheriff's office did. Obviously, EMS came, and we had to get animal control, who was always real good to help us, and they came and got some dogs out of the home. The coroner's office is here. Obviously, they're the greatest. So we just need to, you know, I can't get my mind off these babies. So that's what we need to do. We need to start. I ask you, if you're watching, you know, start a prayer chain for these babies. That's what you got to do, because they're going to need us, and we're not going to let them down. So let's show them why we're a Christian nation.
What's next for the investigation going into this evening?
We'll stay here as long as it takes to find out what happened. We'll process every evidence that we can. You know, we're going to have to interview the babies at some point, and that's what I don't really want to do, because we got to talk to them about what happened. But we'll have some professionals do that at a better setting. We'll have them checked and made sure that there's no harm to them. And you know, I need a brother of this young man here. I used to fish with her dad, and you know, it's just a tough. They've had a tough time, so. You please pray for that family as well, both of them for that matter.
Anything else that you want people to know tonight?
Well, you know, a lot of questions are always asked of me when these things happen. Is the community safe? Yes, you are, and this is just a very unfortunate thing that happened tonight. And you know, I don't have any good answers of why these things happen. I just know that. You have to depend on God to pull you through these things, because you know you can't do it by yourself. You shouldn't even try. So.
Thank you, Sheriff, so much for your time.
Thank you, Sheriff Wright. You were just hearing just now from Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright. We're here on Anderson Drive in Spartanburg County. He was telling us that there are 2 people dead here. He says there are some children that are going to need the community's prayers this evening. He says investigators will continue to be out here on the scene. We're not sure at this time exactly what happened. We're working to get those details, and once we learn them, we'll pass them along to you, both on air, online, and with our 7 News app. For now, reporting live in Spartanburg County, I'm Nicole Smith, 7 News.
And Nikhil, how active is the scene at this point? Describe for us kind of around you what's going on at this site. Is there still a pretty significant law enforcement present there right now?
Some of the law enforcement personnel that were here earlier have left the scene at this time. Amy, we saw the SWAT truck that was out here earlier that's now left the scene. We are told that the coroner was also called to the scene as well. You can take a look behind me and kind of see some blue lights here in the distance. So there are some law enforcement and emergency personnel still on scene at this hour. Anderson Drive is blocked off right now. So if anyone usually travels in this area, should probably try to avoid it for the time being, Amy.
All right, Nikhil Smith live at that scene. Thank you for the update tonight, including the update live from Sheriff Chuck Wright. Thank you.
The search continues tonight for an escaped inmate in Cherokee County. The sheriff's office says the inmate was jailed at the detention center and broke out this afternoon. That's Brandon Chesney. He was in jail after being arrested on a domestic violence charge yesterday. The sheriff's office says he escaped from the detention center about 3:15 this afternoon. Investigators are working to find how he got out. They say deputies, Gaffney City officers, and the Highway Patrol set up a perimeter trying to track Chesney. Even with the help of bloodhounds, they didn't find him. The sheriff's office says since then they've been following leads and checking with people who know Chesney.
We have nothing that leads us to believe that he would be a harm to the general public right now, but we would like to ask for their assistance. This is one of those times that we really need help from the public. If you see anything, if you hear anything that could be you might consider suspicious, please let us know.
Deputies say they are in contact with the victim in the domestic violence case. They'll continue running down leads on Chesney, they say, until they find him. Also breaking tonight, one person has been taken to the hospital following a shooting in Anderson County. According to dispatch, it happened just after 7 tonight on Stanmore Drive. We're told the sheriff's office is responding. Our breaking news crew is there now working to get more information for you. We'll update you as soon as we learn more. And when we aren't on the air, be sure to check online at WSPA.com and our 7 News app.
People like money. Money makes people talk.
A street paving company is hoping money talks. A reward is now being offered for information leading to an arrest in a hit-and-run case out of Greenville. This all happened over the weekend. The police say a Greenville County road worker was paving a street overnight when he was hit by a female driver. That worker is now in the hospital with serious injuries. 7 News reporter Kirsten Glavin is joining us live here at 7 on Main tonight. And Kirsten, I know you've heard this man is going to be okay, right?
Yeah, Amy, I spoke to his mother on the phone this evening, and she says he is stable and in better spirits today, but he does have a neck surgery still ahead. Now, while he recovers in the hospital, his co-workers are making moves to try and catch this driver who police say intentionally sped off. He was out there just doing his job, paving the roads at the intersection of Dunbar and Burn Street.
Car came through, wasn't paying attention to my knowledge, struck our employee.
Zachary Michael works for King's Asphalt. He says their company had workers out on the street Saturday night when a driver didn't take a marked detour. Instead, crews say the driver drove straight into their co-worker, Stratton Tripp, who had been signaling the car to turn.
He's been employed with King Asphalt for several years. We consider him part of our family.
Tripp, an employee of 3 years, was taken to Greenville Memorial Hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the driver who hit him took off in a car looking similar to this black Honda Accord, possibly with a dent in the hood. People who saw the hit and run say there were 2 females in the car, one driving and one in the passenger seat.
He frantically tried to get out of the way, saw the car coming, and he just couldn't move in time.
While police work to check surveillance video in the area, King's Asphalt, along with Crime Stoppers, are hoping to get someone to speak up, now offering a $3,000 reward for anyone who can provide information leading to an arrest.
We believe money talks. We believe someone out there has some information, knows something about the incident.
So the driver out there that did take off, we're going to find you.
And when I spoke with police this afternoon, they said so far they haven't received any tips, but they also believe this cash reward may incentivize some people to come forward.
Well, here's another question. As you spoke with him and the family members, do we know, was he wearing all that reflective gear that people who are doing this kind of work often do?
Yeah, they say that he was covered head to toe in it. And I also do want to mention police, as well as the workers we spoke with today, say that Tripp actually spoke with the driver before the driver went off and hit him. They actually slowed down the car and had some type of conversation, although at this point we don't know what that discussion looked like or entailed, but we do know that they spoke before this happened.
Wow. All right, lots to learn on this story. And again, that big reward being offered. Kirsten, thank you.
A 2-year-old in Greenville is dead after drowning in a pool. The Greenville County coroner says Christian Tirado was found in the water around 4 yesterday afternoon on Woodridge Drive. The child died 3 hours later at Greenville Memorial Hospital. The coroner says it was an accidental drowning and the deputies in Greenville County are looking into what happened. So far this month, 2 toddlers have drowned in South Carolina. Last year, 163 children in South Carolina drowned. That's according to a rep from Safe Kids Upstate, which is an advocacy organization under the Greenville Health System Children's Hospital. Among 1 to 4-year-olds, drowning is the leading cause of preventable death, according to Safe Kids.
Family thinks that when these kind of tragedies happen in other families, people think that this is never going to happen to me. And we don't really know.
Safe Kids Upstate recommends using flotation devices and designating adult water watchers who take turns supervising children every 30 minutes.
An update now on a man who died on Lake Greenwood. We're now learning that he did not drown. The Lawrence County coroner says Lionel James was in a pontoon boat when he became anxious and complained he couldn't breathe. The coroner says James went into cardiac arrest. Emergency responders could not save him with CPR. Toxicology tests are being done.
We have new details about a number of crashes across the area tonight. One of them involved an upstate deputy. We'll start with the deadly crash out of Greenville County. The Highway Patrol says a person was killed just after 3 this morning on Highway 11 near Lindsay Road close to Landrum. The Greenville County Coroner's Office has identified the victim as 54-year-old Michael Jenkins. We're told he was not wearing a seatbelt and was pronounced dead at the scene. In Spartanburg County, we now know the name of the person killed on Highway 56 in a crash. Troopers say it happened just past noon near Stewart Road and Croft State Park. The victim identified as 66-year-old Frederick Nix. We're told he was the only person in the vehicle.
The Highway Patrol is also investigating a crash involving a sheriff's deputy in Greenville County. It happened just before 3:30 this afternoon on Poinsett Highway and North Pleasantburg Drive. We're told that the deputy was responding to a call with emergency lights on when he ran into a minivan which had the green light. The Highway Patrol says the deputy was not hurt, but the driver of the minivan was taken to the hospital with some minor injuries. Troopers say charges are pending. In North Carolina, the NTSB and the Federal Aviation Administration are looking into this. A Highway Patrol helicopter crashed there. It happened in Raleigh at one of the Highway Department's training areas. North Carolina's Department of Public Safety is saying that the pilot lost control and the rotor of the unit struck the ground moments after lifting off the ground. The pilot and a passenger were taken to the hospital with some minor injuries.
Up next on 7 News at 10, why the U.S. has withdrawn from the United Nations Human Rights Council.
And as expected, it was the hottest day of the season so far. The high temperature in Greenville, 95, 96 in Spartanburg. Tomorrow promises to be just as hot. Then a cooling trend takes us through the rest of the week. We'll have a look at your 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you very much. Well, back to that breaking news out of Spartanburg County that we've been following very closely tonight. We told you about it at the top of the news. The coroner has been called to a home on Anderson Drive. We're told at least 2 people there are dead.
And there's an extremely heavy law enforcement presence, including the SWAT team. Our Nicole Smith remains live on the scene. She's joining us now. She has the very latest details. Nicole, what have you been able to find out?
Hey, Tom and Amy, we're still here on Anderson Drive in Spartanburg County. Take a look behind me. You can see that it is still an active scene at this hour. You see some law enforcement personnel there in the distance in front of a home here on Anderson Drive. So this is what we know so far. Spartanburg County Sheriff Chuck Wright says deputies were called to a home here for the report of a shooting. 2 people were found dead inside the home. He says there were also 3 children inside who were not hurt. They were a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an infant.
We're just trying to love on these babies, man. This is, you know, you got 3 children now that are going to have to depend on some extended family for sure. You know, I wanted to take them home myself, and so did everybody else, but we had to take them to a different spot. But these professionals are going to take care of them. But I want you to start praying for them right this minute.
And back here live, the sheriff says it's not clear what the exact relationship is between the two people who were found dead and those children. But again, those children are unharmed, he says, at this hour. He also says that there were some animals that were taken off the property with the help of animal control earlier this evening. Much of the law enforcement presence has now left. The SWAT team, a big SWAT truck was out here earlier. They've left. We saw some EMS personnel out here earlier as well, and they've also left. But the sheriff says this investigation is far from over, so they'll be on the scene for a little while, continuing to investigate and figure out exactly what happened here. Reporting live in Spartanburg County, Nikhil Smith, 7 News.
Nikhil, have we been able to find out how this incident got reported? You mentioned someone heard gunshots. What do we know about who called authorities and let them know about this?
So what the sheriff tells us is that they responded here to a call for a shooting, but we're not been told who actually placed the call, Tom.
All right, obviously a lot more investigation to go. We'll have the very latest on Daybreak plus overnight on our digital formats as well. Thank you, Nikhil.
And we have new information about a woman who was arrested after a Simpsonville woman died from what the investigators say was a drug deal gone bad.
Abigail Ness was found with severe injuries in the middle of New Harrison Bridge Road at the end of May. Ness died last week. Caitlin and Sabrina Rochester were arrested, and the Greenville County Sheriff's Office says charges against Caitlin Rochester have been upgraded to murder. She's being held at the county detention center.
3 people are dead after being pulled from the pool of an apartment complex in Durham, North Carolina. Authorities say they got the call shortly after 3 this morning, and when they found 2 men and a woman unresponsive in that pool. Police say that the group was swimming after hours. Officers still have not released many details, including how they died or their identities. But a source close to the investigation is saying police have not indicated any sign of foul play. Police are interviewing a 4th person who was also in the water. And new tonight, State Law Enforcement Division agents confirm they are investigating Kohl's towing. We obtained a letter that shows the 7th Circuit Solicitor asked the Attorney General in May to review an investigation by SLED, Spartanburg Police, and the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office because of a conflict of interest. An advocacy group for people who say that they are victims of predatory towing by Kohl's say they're working with SLED about this investigation.
He's terrorizing this neighborhood.
We reached out to Kohl's attorney, who stated that they were not aware of the SLED investigation.
Tonight, Greenville County Council members took a step towards fixing the affordable housing crisis in the county. Council voted on and passed a policy that will reduce the cost of permit fees for construction of affordable housing in the county. The policy will cut fees to potential affordable housing builders by 50%. Council members have already started working on creating neighborhoods solely for workforce housing. They already have 2 properties lined up, one in southern Greenville County and the other in the Sans Souci neighborhood. Those properties will have homes between $100,000 and $160,000, targeted at families making between $30,000 and $50,000.
There's a difference between affordable housing and low-income housing. The people who will be buying these houses are people who work every day. They have a job. They just don't make a lot of money. They work in the service economy. They work in the retail economy.
Now, this afternoon, some council members were also presented with the findings of the affordable housing study. That study will go to the full council for a vote in July. Up next on 7 News at 10, why a federal judge ruled in favor of the FBI and threw out a lawsuit involving victims of the Charleston church shooting.